Welcome to the Pan-African News Network Global, home to the naked truth about Africa. For far too long, African stories have been told by the hunter. Time has come for Africa to tell her own story. At Pan-African News Network, the hunted are now telling their truth and nothing but the truth. Welcome to the Pan-African News Network Global. But I think you raised also another very important point when you talked about this is the issue of ignorance of our own young people. Demonstrating without a clear agenda, without a clear global bird's eye view of the issues. And so they demonstrate based on little knowledge. They lack the broader understanding exactly of and how things work. You take, for example, the situation that happened in Tanzania, October 29 last year during their elections. Oh my goodness, the children, the youth, they really misbehaved. And then when I started reading the results of the report that was put out, how there were camps in the bushes, camps in homes, where the young people were being trained, being taught how to strategize on how to destroy the country and disrupt the elections, with NGOs paying our young people. Yeah, started months before the elections, just to stop the elections. Now, if you look at it, you are being told you demonstrate to stop the elections. So if the elections didn't take place in Tanzania on the 29th of October last year, what would have happened to Tanzania on October 30th? You set police stations on fire. They were planning on setting the port of Dar es Salaam on fire. They were wanting to disrupt the railway system that's currently under construction. They took picks and digging up tarred roads. They've set combi buses on fire, the same buses that your mother and grandmother used for transport. None of it made sense. Did they stop to think about what they were doing? Or they were only looking at the few dollars that they were given to do this? You look at the same thing in Kenya. Kenya, the young people started with a good reason. There was a bill in parliament they disagreed with.
That financial bill.
Very clear that was why they were demonstrating, and we commended them for that. However, somewhere along the way, NGOs came in, they started giving them money, and before you know it, that leadership that had put together a nice reason to protest, they were now being infiltrated. They were being given a few dollars, and the whole thing slowly started falling apart. So our children are being used, are being weaponized as instruments of our own self-destruction. What do we need to do to help them see the warning signs when an NGO is being too nice to you, when a foreign embassy is being too nice to you, when you're being invited to certain situations? They quote you like they are quoting a man quoting a woman. So we need to have certain conversations in our homes with our children so they cannot fall victims to external forces. And a lot of them, particularly the Western ones, they have policies in their governments that for each and every African country, which are pretty much the same, divide and conquer and regime change. Standard policy. I'm glad to hear the US articulate that they are moving away from that policy and moving towards equal engagement and trade. But there is a strategy that has been in place by Western nations. Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer and regime change. So it doesn't matter whether they support this opposition and that opposition wins today. Tomorrow they'll flip. Whoever is the opposition, that's who they're going to support. So it's not about what's best for the country. It's what keeps the country in a turmoil and allows them to continue the exploitation unabated. So our children, you raised a very good point, that we as elders, we are failing to have the right conversations with our children. We must own their ignorance because we should have told them. Growing up as a young person, we used to talk after dinner, before dinner. We would sit around the fire and the elders had a chance to talk to us. It's not happening anymore. So our children are learning from social media, there's learning from all different kinds of situations. I was in one of the government offices one day waiting in another country in East Africa. I'm waiting to see a minister, and here comes 3 white people with two black women, and they had stacks of books, 5 different types of books. And so because I was in the waiting room, I just wanted to know, what are these books for? Every one of them had white faces. Not a single one had a black face. So I said, what are these books about? Oh, these are family-oriented books. These are children's books. And I said, so what are you wanting to teach the black kids with these white faces? I could tell I was a crazy woman in the waiting room. And I said, well, what we really would like to see is stories being told about us and also having black images, because we don't want to promote white supremacy in our homes. These books were supposed to be distributed for free into these African homes. And so I said my piece to them. I said, your books are not wanted in Africa. Until you started bringing books with black faces, black people, books that are relevant to us. Do not import these books that you're taking from Europe and giving them for free. You could give us educational books for free, not this rubbish. Oh, they were not happy with me, but I really didn't care. But it's happening all over Africa. And then they take black people to push that nonsense. And the black people are happy that it's a book with white people in it. Isn't that sad?
It's very sad.
That's very sad.
So if young people, like you mentioned, like in Tanzania, that they are revolting, burning bridges, that's a wrong methodology in fixing their own problems.
But you know what? We should own it.
Yeah.
We should own the ignorance of our children because we failed to educate them. We failed to teach them our history. We failed to warn them about the enemy from outside. They were not aware that when you see an NGO, that's an enemy until proven otherwise. Are you with me? So we have to be very realistic and warn our children. Do not trust these people. They cannot be trusted. They don't come with goodwill. Guaranteed. So let's make no mistake about that. The one thing I really appreciate President Trump for is dismantling USAID. President Trump and Elon Musk. People are jumping up and down about Elon Musk, and there was some program I saw in Mozambique because he dismantled USAID. No, we say bravo to that. But are you aware that USAID is the entity that was being used to fund a lot of these conflicts, the terrorist activities that took place in Mozambique? Do you realize how many millions, billions the country lost? And then they turn around and give the country peanuts in terms of an AIDS clinic there, an AIDS clinic there. And we're supposed to be so sad that the 2 AIDS clinics were closed. Look at the bigger picture, the destruction caused by this entity and its presence in your country. We are not telling our children that. Our children don't know.
How can Africa solve some problems? How can we solve our own problems without the external force?
We are doing it. We're doing it. Do you see the developments taking place in Africa? Lots of developments, but they're not being talked about. Again, back to the governments. Why aren't you talking about the development? For example, Tanzania is one of the few African countries that are 100% electrified. Did you know that?
Yes.
Everybody in Tanzania has access to electricity. By 2030, they have about 12,000 villages. They're down to about 1,000 villages that don't have access to clean water. Major thoroughfare roads are tarred. There is development that's taking place that people just don't know. Instead, we focus on what's not working right. We're not saying the governments are perfect. No, don't get me wrong. But we're saying, understand your country, understand your governance. Yes, you have grievances. Raise your grievances respectfully and according to the law. They will hear you. Believe me, majority of African leaders now know. Because of social media, our young people are learning, but sometimes they're just not learning what they must learn. So they're taking situations and blowing them up to the outside world. and making your own country look bad. But they don't realize the economic destruction of that simple behavior, painting your country in a negative way. It's going to affect how much the cost of your loaf of bread. It's going to affect the cost of your transport back and forth. But that education, we as elders, we are not having it with our children. So for me, as elders, we must own their ignorance. We must take responsibility of that which our children do not know. And the time to have those conversations is now. Mothers and fathers, talk to your children. The conversations at your dinner table, the conversations in your home must change. Pan-Africanism should be on the menu of every African household, of every black household around the world. Because once again, we share a common suffrage. Whether you're a black person in America, a black person in the Caribbean, a black person in South America, or a black person anywhere in Africa, we share a common suffrage.
How do you have a conversation with a person who is receiving $400 or $200 as a civil servant?
Now, you're now talking on the issue of salaries across Africa. Some countries are doing better than others. I know Zimbabwe, for example, I'm disappointed at the salaries of doctors and nurses and school teachers, policemen. Those are pillars of the community. Without good teachers, we can't have a brilliant nation. Without good doctors and nurses, we can't have a healthy nation. And so to have a medical doctor make $400 a month, that's really sad. I think those are some of the areas that really need to be addressed. For example, if they were to say in Zimbabwe, pay the doctors $2,000, I can assure you, majority of the ones in South Africa will come back. Something so little, they will come back. Are you with me? Yeah. So really the government needs to really take another look at particularly the professionals that are leaving the country. Can something be done? You know, I was looking at it, and I always have a mind of a mother. You know, running a country is like running a home. You want to make sure that when your child gets sick, there's a clinic that can take care of them. That your child, there's a good school that your kids can go to. That there's transport for you to go back and forth to where you need to go. You know, that you have electricity, you got running water, and young people, they want connectivity. Basic things. Let's suppose Zimbabwe is a very wealthy nation. You know, we have the Mutapa Fund. I was doing an analysis of the Mutapa Fund. All the mines that have come under the Mutapa Fund, a lot of them are old, established mines with known reserves that are quantified to say this mine can produce so many tons of gold a year. 1 month production in some of those mines could cover the entire budget for the Ministry of Health. So why not say, Minister of Health, I'm thinking very simplistically, we have your mine, that is your mine. All the revenues out of this mine are yours. Education, you have yours. IT, you have yours. All the ministries. We have more than enough. You could even give each ministry 2 mines. That's just gold before we go into lithium and many other minerals. So you manage this is your money. They can change the healthcare system. They can pay the doctors because the money is there. It can still go through the treasury, but it's allocated. Income from this mine, even though it goes through the treasury. You see, we have to look at things in a very simplistic way. We complicate matters. No, things don't need to be complicated. Other nations, other races, when there's an issue, they take care of it. But us, we gotta follow these Western rules and Western laws of doing things. No, there's a problem, I need a solution. Yeah. There's a mine that gets a lot of money. Let me put 40 million into the mine, revamp it, and then I can make 100 million a month. Are you with me? But I would rather go borrow 40 million to give to the Minister of when I could have taken that 40 million, put it into the mine, and make 100 million a month to perpetuity. We got to be very practical. But now with you saying it's got to go through the Minister of Finance, that's all logistics. But and the minister of health will be going to the minister of mines to say, hey, cut out my money. I got work to do. I got hospitals to build. I got doctors to pay. I got medicines to procure. But it's your mine. Isn't that money? But we don't look at it from that point of view. So we need to be very realistic about governance and providing the basics for our people, which can be done. There is no question about it. There is not a single African country that cannot afford to feed its people. Every African country is rich.
Yes, the potential to feed its own people.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have everything they need to feed their own people. What is needed is the will. I always use an example of after Europe had imploded itself after the Second World War. They needed to steal from other developing nations in order to rebuild Europe. So what did they do? They created the World Bank and IMF in 3 weeks. That's a juggernaut entity. It was created in 3 weeks. Did you know that? They created the United Nations in 1 month. Because there was a need. There was a problem. They needed a solution. So for us as Africans, let's look at the problem. The solution is there. Go for it. We don't have to go around the world 10 times before we get to the solution. But that's what we do. We waste a lot of time on sheer stupidity. And of course, we do have issues of corruption. There are some of us who are really serious issues, yes. And you find that a lot of the ministers, that's another serious problem for African governments. A lot of the ministers are also on the payrolls of foreign nations. And so while the minister is speaking with one corner of the tongue, another conversation is undermining the government. So any policies that could be discussed that will further the agenda of the people, they will intentionally undermine it. So that's another serious problem among African governance systems. Yeah. But again, it all boils down to the mind.